Hey YouTube, welcome back to Universe X, and today we have another Dragon Ball Super video, this one coming off the heels of the Philly Regional. I think yesterday or 2 days ago you guys saw my deck list for Gamma, my 9th place top 16 deck list. Today you are going to be blessed with my friend Amani's top 16 Giga-Chooler, or cooler deck profile, and I think tomorrow, if we can swing it, we are going to be able to see my friend Daryl's top 4 Trunk Sheeta list. So we got a whole lot to go on, a whole lot to do, a whole lot to see, a lot of content to record. So I hope you guys like it. And if you like it, you should probably come around and think about hitting that subscribe button, like the video so it trends, share it to your friends if you're trying to play cooler, because this is definitely an informational video that's worth watching. But yeah, joining the UniX fam would be a great way to help grow the brand, as well as just be a part of something really, really cool. And speaking of which, we've got a Discord where we talk about everything. We talk about the game, we talk about anime, we talk about manga, we talk about other video games, we talk about One Piece, Digimon. We got channels for everything. So yeah, come through. Links in the description. You just get in there, assign your roles, let it roll. Last but not least, I do want to talk to you guys, letting you know that I do have a link to PPG. It's not a coupon link yet. That's coming soon. But for now, it's gonna help, kind of see traffic and see what kind of numbers my channel could pull into a site like PPG. So if you want to help me expand even further, make better content, have more access to cards so I can play in these events with a bigger variety of decks, you know where to hook it up. Just go down there, check out the link, maybe pre-order some One Piece or buy some singles or sealed for Digimon or Dragon Ball. With that all being said, since this is going to be a little bit of a chunkier deck profile, I want to get right into it. Thank you guys for your support, and I will see you guys in the deck profile.
All right, so we are actually time traveling. We are back in the hotel, and we're going to talk to you about Amani's top 16 green cooler deck profile from the latest set, Ultimate Squad. So yeah, how you guys doing?
Good morning. Good morning, anyway. We're just gonna talk about this cooler deck. So up here, I decided to do a deck profile about it. I had a couple of people ask me about it before, and then obviously after yesterday, I had a few more people ask about it. I said I would do it, so we're here to do it. Nick is here because Nick built the deck. I just play it, and that's how we ended up here. So it's just cooler. I don't think that it's like extremely strong. I think it's like tier 2 at best. But I enjoyed playing it, and it was fun. It was a different play style. I hate green as a color in this game, but yeah, it was fine.
So the dude whose last 2 top premier decks have been green?
Not on purpose. It's the style. It's a mid-range aggro. So it's different for me. I usually play mid-range control, like slower decks, more 4-5 turn 4 turn 5 decks, but like this is a control format and it's so slow and I hate it, so I try to play something a little faster.
All right, so let us see the Giga-Chooler.
The Giga-Chooler. Okay, so leader, the leader has a bit of text on here, but it's pretty simple. So when you attack on your front side, you take a life, and then you can either draw a card or you can play a unison with a cost of 1, a green unison with a cost of 1, in play with a marker on it. And then, of course, whenever one of your green unisons leaves from play, once per turn, you can draw a card. And then he awakens at 4, he untaps 1, and draws 1. On the backside, the effect's pretty much the same, except you don't take the life anymore. So when you attack on the backside, you either draw a card or play a unison, and once per turn, when the unison leaves play, you draw a card. The bottom ability is like the Dark Broly effect. You can discard a green unison card during battle as many times as you want, and either your leader or one of your green unisons gets 5,000 power. So starting from the front, excuse me, it's a very simple take a life ability so that you can self-awaken, but there is a lot of controversy between when you should draw a card and when you should play the unison. So I'll talk about that later in the video. But it's a very simple leader that tries to make use of several unisons, and the unisons are pretty strong. And then on the backside, just make sure that you don't get like clogged up with unisons in the late game, because you do have to play a lot of them. Okay, so going into the unisons first, this is a pretty bread and butter of the deck. I play 4 of the Demi. This is pretty much the Unison you always want to start off with. It's very straightforward Unison. When your opponent tries to deal damage to it, by an attack, you can take a life instead, add it to your hand. You're not going to get this effect probably ever again on a Unison because it is extremely strong. Setting this Unison up and immediately +1ing it to make it 15k sets it at 2 markers, and there's pretty much nothing your opponent can do about that in the beginning of the game. So they have to play through your green cards, your Dormant's live, your Freeze's live, and you're always going to empower 2, which is important for the rest of the deck. The -3 I don't use, but it is pretty handy. It KOs a battle card with no energy restriction, and then KOs a barrier card with a cost of 3 or less. So you always want to start off with that card.
Literally just ensures that your Empower is going off no matter what, and that is paramount.
Basically, yeah. So the choices that we play from the cooler Unisons are this one, the door.
But Amani, nobody plays that card.
No, look. Galactic Frieza, and Salsa at 4. So like I said, you're gonna play a lot of Unisons in this deck. Wasn't kidding. So this one first. This one, they all have Empower. So this one, when you have 3 or more markers in play, you search for a cooler with a cost of 1 out of your deck, add it to your hand. The only target for it is this one, which you also play 4 of. And so this is like the crux of the early game here. This is what gives you the power to lean into aggro. I see a lot of people that are not playing it, and it blows my mind because like in certain matchups, like you just can't win if you go into the mid game. Your deck's not particularly impressive. So like if you can't deal damage, you're just gonna be sitting there, you know. So like this card goes also has the +1 that makes it 15k for the turn. So you go. You start with a Demi, and then you attack for 15, and then you overlay it to this one, and then you search for him, and then you attack him with 15. Now his ability, when you summon him, you search for a Unison out of your top 5, cost of 3 or less. That's all the Unisons in your deck. So he replaces himself. And then once per turn, whenever a green Unison leaves from play, you can take a life, and he becomes 15k for the turn. So this holds basically the entire power of your beginning stages of aggro. There is a lot of attacks between this cycling effect, right? And then this is where it becomes important to know whether you should be drawing cards or overlaying Unisons with this leader. Because like in turn 2, for example, when you have this Demi in play, you can go summon Cooler, and then attack with your leader, and then overlay, and then take 2 life, and then take 1 life, and then awaken, and then it can get really crazy really fast if you know how to sequence your attacks. But it's gonna start with these, and for some reason I don't see people playing these, and then I don't see Cooler decks winning, and there's just
a correlation
there. You know. But so I played it, and I can tell you from experience that I wouldn't want half my games without it. Going to 4 Salsas. Salsa is basically a charismatic villain, except on a Unison. So you can counterplay it for 1. It's empowered 2 as well when it has 3 or more markers. If you have a green Frieza clan for a leader, you pop a 7-drop or lower. It's basically a charismatic villain. And then its +1 gives it 5,000 for the turn, so it's also 15k. And then Galactic Dynasty, which is in power 3 now. And this one, when you put it in play, if you have 3 or more markers, your opponent has to discard a card from their hand. And then his +1 gives him 10,000 power, so he attacks for 20k. Of course, this one has a small drawback to it. Its discard effect is limit 1, so you're going to overlay it once per turn. And also, if you have 3 or less markers on it, it can't attack at all, right? So keep that in mind when you're using it. None of these Unisons are particularly good to open up with other than Demigra, but this one is particularly bad because it also doesn't get to attack. So don't play that from 1 if you can help it. But then the 3 Golden Frieza Unisons, this is the very big Unison. It's very strong. It's a dual attack blocker 20k. Its -4 ability gives it 10,000 power and triple strike for the turn, and then untaps it at the end of the turn. So that's very strong both on offense and defense, that you're attacking for a dual attack 30k triple. And then its counter attack ability lets you play it on your opponent's turn. And that's where the auto really comes in handy, because if it has 4 or more markers when you play it, it's in power 4. You'll KO all of your opponent's battle cards. So very strong on offense and on defense. My advice would be not to lean too heavy into Golden Frieza. Obviously, everybody can see it coming 500 years away. So try to be very careful with how much you put into this triple strikes priority, because a lot of people are prepared for you to be killing them with a Unison, being as that's pretty much all your deck can do. So we'll get into that, but it's very strong for what it does, but it's not going to close as many games as you think it will. So going into the cards that you do lean into to close games, we have the 2 Spirit Bombs. This has been around for some time now. This is basically Green's new ruler. When you play it for 1, if you have 3 or more energy, you can play it for 1, and then it takes a marker off your opponent's Unison. Then it has a Spirit Boost X. It gains 5,000 power for each marker you remove, and 2 or more markers will give it double strike. Still does the exact same thing as always. It's very strong in this deck. 2 of the 1-drop cooler. 2 of the 4-cost cooler that you play for 1. It gets -1 energy cost per Unison in your discard pile, so it's usually a 1-drop. So a 1-drop double strike 20k. This is like a second new ruler, except when you put it in play, your opponent has to discard a card from their hand. You bottom deck a Unison from your grave. So these in combination are very efficient at closing games, being as that they're both 1-cost double strikers, 20k and 25k. But these are there are small discard abilities in here. There's 3 Toa Overwhelms, and everybody knows Toa. She's been around forever. She gives 5,000 to the leader, and you make your opponent discard a card from the hand. She's no realm 3, free cost. So there are a lot of small discard abilities in here, as you can see, this Galactic Frieza and this Cooler and this Toa. So we try not to lean too much into hand control as an identity, because hand control is very easy to deal with, and most people will see a green leader and assume that all it really is good at is hand control. So you're gonna get a lot of, especially in pre-side best of 1, take it from experience. You're gonna get a lot of Deborah sides against you. You're gonna get a lot of hand control sides against you. So you use these little small pings here, and you just stack them on top of each other. Most people don't keep enough energy open to Deborah you consistently. One of them is kind of you can't really control it. They sided it, right? You can't get mad at them for drawing cards and put it in their deck. But most of the time, they don't Deborah over and over and over and over. So you find yourself discarding multiple cards from them, or they'll be tapped out and you just summon everything at once.
And really, we've said it on this channel a bunch of times before, good pressure is hand control on its own. So when you start putting people in a position where they only have 6, 7 cards in hand because you're putting on that pressure, a lot of these discard ones start adding up horrendously.
That's how you close the mid game, actually. So you start attacking, and then you go overwhelm Toa, and the Toa discards 1, then she swings for 15, and you summon Cooler, and he discards 1, and he swings for 20, and then you summon Frieza, and he discards 1, and he swings. The combination of both having to block the attack and having to discard from the skill burns your opponent out really fast. And that's important because this is it. This is the curve. There's nothing bigger coming after this. So this has to work, or you're just not going to be able to close the game. 3 Dodorias. This is the Floodgate Hate. I was very surprised that a lot of people were not playing Floodgate Hate, because I don't see how you're beating Gamma without Floodgate Hate, because they literally will untap 3 and lean into Topo. I just stare at you with 10 cards in their hand and dare you to attack through a blue deck playing Topos. So now that they have it, and with their untapped 3, it makes them extremely difficult to attack. So you have to play some type of Floodgate Hate if you want to actually get attacks through. So we play the Dodoria because this one allows us to play it whenever we have a green Unison in play, pretty much all the time. And it counters a 2-drop or less. So it just became priority for us to play this, as it is a battle card. It's 5,000 power, and it counters when we need it to. Starting from turn 1, it's live. So it's also very good for interrupting small strategies. When Cell goes to set up their 1-drops, for example, it was very good there. For Charismatic Villains, it's the same card as it's always been. And for defending Father Paragus, the only super combo I believe in. And then the secret rare for the deck is Kabitokai. This card was snapped all day. Ever since I put it in here, it's been very strong in this format. Kabitokai is a double strike that summons for 2. Activate main or battle, and when it's summoned, your opponent can't attack with battle cards for the rest of the turn. And then it has a Spirit Boost 2 ability, which is always active in this deck, that when you play it, you can take control of your opponent's Unison. So this card was extremely strong ever since I started using it. So when you play it, obviously your opponent can't attack with battle cards for the turn, but when you steal the Unison, especially during the battle step, you can pretty much lock your opponent out of attacking. And if they prioritize their Unison's attack, and there are a lot of powerful Unisons in this format, and you snatch their Unison, you negate the damage, and then lock them out of attacking again. So it's very strong there, but it's also particularly strong because you can use it during the main phase. And that helps you to take Unisons that are in your way. the Jiren or the Baby Unison in U7, or the Unison, the green Unisons in mirror matches or in other green decks when your opponent's tapped out and they're relying on Dormant to save their life, and you just snatch the Unison and kill them. Yellow is playing a plethora of Unisons right now. In Trunks Vegeta, they play the slower Unisons to keep themselves alive. Sen obviously plays 4-cost Unisons, and those things are very hard to break through. So this card was very helpful in there. And that's it for the non-extra cards. So extra cards are 3 stars Kamehameha. Same logic as the other discard effects, except this one is the most powerful, I think, because it lets you choose. So your opponent really doesn't have a window to play the boards on. You just get unlucky like I do, and you pick it out of their hand. But normally it's very good. It's also a 15k power up, so that's what you really play it for. It really, really bridges that gap between you having basically your highest costed, your highest power card being a 20k here, because it doesn't work on Unisons. So you don't have a lot of offensive power, and this card really comes in handy for that, to let you push while discarding cards from your opponent's hand. It's a really, really strong card. 3 Dormants. Yeah, it's just not a 4 of in here. It's not a 4 of Dormant format, I don't think. This card is still a neg 2, but it's still Dormant, right? And it's the only reason why your green decks don't die almost immediately, so you have to play it, right? And you play it for free because you'll always have a Unison in play, and then your opponent can only attack one more time. It doesn't stop the attack that you use it on, but I guess you can't get it all. So there's that. I have 4 Homicidal Clones. Is the only other negate that we're playing. Token negates I think are extremely strong in this format, and Homicidal Clones is no different. As you can see, these are the only negates in the main deck, and this is not a negate, so like 4 of this was just kind of like mandatory. I posted the deck of 52 cards, so that's the main deck. 52? Amani? 52. It had to be done. It was almost 53. I really wanted to put a jump in here, but I just couldn't fit them, and 53 was just, I can't go too high over 50. It makes me uncomfortable. I cringe. So that was the main deck. The side deck's pretty well thrown together with a whole bunch of random stuff, so bear with me here. The 2 blue impulses, sided it most of the time because people play cards on your turn, and the green, for this to be a green deck, it is particularly weak in removal. Unfortunately, all of its removals are on 7 drops or lowers, and none of them ignore barrier. So I mean, you just do the best you can when your opponent is like throwing stuff at you on your turn and their turn. So 2 blue impulses. It's Vegeta, Resolute, Agent, and Destruction. There are no barrier removals in your main deck, so I played this one to try to deal with, mostly with Trunks Vegeta. It was very popular over this past weekend, and Daryl still beat me with it, and I knew he was, because really you can't beat that deck with this one. You just don't have the tools for it, but this is as close as you're gonna get. Hunter the Demon God at 2. So this one was used mostly for mirror matches and red decks. This card is a counter. If your leader and energy are all the same color, your opponent has to have 4 more energy. It negates a counter attack on an extra card with a cost of 1 that was played without paying its cost. Whoa. So basically for Dormant, because nobody pays for Dormant. And then it has a Spirit Boost 1 that is basically a petrification. You banish it from your graveyard, pay an energy, and choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and it can't attack or activate its skills to the end of the next turn.
On a side note, sorry, it also catches King Vegeta's Imposing Presence as well. They play it for free.
It catches Imposing Presence, it catches Sparking After Image, it catches Wolffang, but most of the time, it catches Dormant. That's kind of all that matters.
And then they catch these hands.
Yeah, because you're gonna have a tough time killing people for Dormant. Deck's just not designed to do it. 3 big or more. It stops your opponent from attacking with battle cards with cost of 5 or more. It is also sided for most of the same matchups. A lot of this, I don't know a deck right now that's killing you without a card over the cost of 5, except mine. So this card was particularly good in this format because, U7, Gamma, those other decks in the format. I don't think I ran into a leader that was using a card that was under 7 trying to kill me with it. And this card for the same reason. I don't like this Unison in the main deck, especially because it's too small. It doesn't attack well, and flooding your deck with these Unisons that don't attack well make it so that you can't attack well. So if you're not dealing damage in the early game, I don't know what cards you're using to kill your opponent, so you probably want to deal damage in the early game. So I sided this one in only for the matchups where like its effect was extremely necessary, which is mostly like 9-drop Cell, Ultra Mastery, things like that where like the dual attack is going to get you murdered. other than that, I don't particularly care for it. And I also have one non-foil, so like I really didn't use this card a lot.
I like how that one factors in.
Yeah, that's the main factor. One Dark Vanisher Fu. I think this card is snapped in this format. It's not as easy to play as it used to be because, you know, people can answer it. Excuse me, but with Gamma being basically unable to play God Sealing on your turn, this card usually walks, and it's really strong there. Because with all of the small discard effects that you use in the early game, knowing they can't play the boards, you know, you can keep their hand size relatively small and force them into, like, instead of killing you, like having to regenerate their hand. You can't stop the fact that they are going to have all their energy open at the end of each turn, but you could at least keep them from having a massive hand at the same time. That was the idea. Anyway, that worked well. I had to play 3 games this weekend. And then 2 of these Majin-Boos for like almost the same reason. Just it's a ignore barrier board clear. It discards 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. It's cool and all of that. But really, what it is it's an ignore barrier board wipe, and it takes Unisons with it. Because like I said, you really just don't have a lot of options in the late game. And if you get to that point, people are just gonna like their card quality is gonna be out of your control. Like their cards 4-drop Unisons and really strong late game unison effects, and then really powerful battle. Because there's not going to be a whole lot you can do. So you need something to just get the board out of the way so you can get those extra lethal damages in. And so that card was good there. That's it. That's the deck.
So, I know you both end up playing pretty much the same list, almost card for card, if not the very same list. Yeah, these guys actually put in mad hours testing this deck, crafting it, and so really, it's like just a joint baby. I mean, I was really fortunate to have practice with these two just based off Cooler, and I'll kind of talk about that a little later in a different video, or actually probably before now in a different video, because time travel. It is what it is. But yeah, closing thoughts for you guys.
Well, Nick did all the work. I just stole the list and borrowed all the cards because I didn't have anything else to play. So that was really him. Shout out to this guy. He does all the hard stuff, and I just kind of listen to him talk, and I just nod my head because I don't know what he's talking about most of the time.
He doesn't know, but I zoomed in on his face just so you guys could see the 18 different expressions that passed it while Amani was talking.
Yeah, then I see the cards, and I watch him play it, and he explains all the combos. And I'm like, well, Nick, you know what? I don't think it's gonna work. Then he beats me, and I say, okay, we'll play it then. That's usually how it goes for testing. Yeah.
All right then. Well, I will say, congratulations on your top 16 of this regional. You got your invite here. For anybody asking, you guys need to watch the stream because, like, how many times they have you on it?
They had me on it once.
They had you on it once, and then like
They had me on it once.
had you on it once, and yours was against Jordan.
Yeah.
That was a crazy game. Like, it's not enough to go up against like a national champion, but like there are words. Like, go watch part 2 of PPG stream, and you'll see. Like, that game was insane. Both of them were playing some like GT Mecha Frieza, a level of aggression deck. Like, they ended on turn 2.
It was nuts because this deck can't beat Trunks Vegeta. So like, it's very, very cool that it came as close as it did, and it had to be Jordan.
Well, if it wasn't Jordan, Nick was winning. Like, just like flat out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and yeah, this week is just gonna have a lot of content to do with this Philly regional. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest now is the time. The UniX fam is growing. We got a link to the Discord so you can talk to the people. Another shout out for all the people who came up and were like, yo, I'm from the Discord. And I was like, oh snap, I talked to this person. It was cool meeting everybody in person. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And yeah, later.